Hey everyone. Well, today had a little bit of a late start, but still got a lot done that I wanted to. These wheel opening moldings were kind of tough to get off because the screws that actually put in, they're all rusted solid on the back. I tried to PV blast them. That didn't work, so they would just strip out, so I ended up having to cut them off on the inside lip. I'll show you in a second, and then I'll give you a quick rundown here. Okay, that's the wheel opening molding that I had to get off, and I had to grind the bolts of the head of the bolts off in order to pry this thing off. I ground out all the rust. I just put a little bit of primer on there because it is bare metal, just to hold it. I put a couple pop rivets in here to reattach it to this back piece. It seemed to have separated, obviously, because this wasn't really connected by anything because of the rust there. So then we made a piece right there. I'm going to attach some pictures on the befores, and now that's where we're at here with that. And I have it welded, or not welded, I'm sorry, put into this beam here. You can't see it because it's dark in there. Took off that, there's that center rub rail, but I took off the one below it so I could get to cut all the rust out. I'm going to leave the rub rail off. I know there's been some question about structural integrity, but I've done a lot of research on that, and it seems like it's more for like slow side impacts, and that's right where the floor is of the bus. That one would be about waistline, and then that one is head and neck. Since across all these things are made to be shipped anywhere in the nation, so they have to have them all the safety precautions for every state. So these things are built like tanks. That's why why we went with this instead of saving up the money or making monthly payments on a huge RV. Anyway, so what I did was I put pop rivets back into the place, and then back into the rail that runs on the inside, so it gives it back its strength. And then everywhere where there's a vertical support on the inside of the bus, I went ahead and added more rivets up against it. This right here I'll caulk in once we get to that stage of things. This one I actually made the metal to slide up underneath the panel, so if it rains or whatever, it will just sheet off instead of try to collect there. I'll be sealing this in too with panel bond underneath, and then these will be 1/4 inch rivets here. This is going into the rail that goes across here, and these will be all 3/16 down through here, 1/4 inch here and here, and then this will just be 3/16 through here. So I did that there. On that one I added more rivets. This was a rust hole. Like I said, I'll attach pictures so you can see what before and afters on this one. I just used regular primer behind it, cut out the rust inside, ground it down, primed it, put MPR polyurethane sealer on the inside, and then use 3/16 around there, and then 1/4 inch along here, because that goes into the rail that actually bonds all this metal to the bus, and then the same here and here. This piece right here we still got to cut out and get, because that is just one big old nasties going on right there. But again, all these things, all these bolts inside here are rusted through. Well, not rust, just rusted shut. So I got to get that off in order to fix that rust and this rust here. I am going to leave the bottom rub rail on there because I don't see any reason to take it off and leave it off. Here I'm going to take it off, weld in a little bit of metal right here so I can fix that there. And then I got to take the rails off here to take off the doors, because the piano hinges are just rusted up, and these little luggage deals or like luggage latches are pretty rusted up too. So I'm going to drill those out and put either sheet metal over there with something different or whatever. I want to take these little things off because they actually hold. Let's see. Oh, get this up. It actually, this latches into that to hold it open. But maybe I'm going to use little shocks or something. I'm not sure. Right now it's so rusted up that it just stays open. Some of these are kind of a bear to get open just because of how rusted up they are. And the latches don't really work. They're all kind of, lack of a better term, all kind of crusted up. But the storage boxes underneath themselves are in great shape. I like that it's continuing across. That's going to be like propane. Generator will probably be in the back here, like this. And that's just kind of like a just in case kind of deal. And then the same with these guys in here. There's some rust inside. I'm going to ground that off and just kind of pour 15 it. And then this one right here. This one actually has a fairly newer lock system. This one actually works really well. So we'll see. It's just I don't like this. That's not gonna work for me. So I'm gonna probably cut that out and make it out. But what we ended up using is just a piece of steel. This is 22 gauge, cold rolled, and I just cut it out. This is the piece that was there, like before, and it had a little lip on it right here. I banged it out so I could trace it out, added 2 inches on one side, 3 inches on the top. That'll give me this big piece here that I put in. And then I rolled it over, and all I did to do that was I just placed it over this piece of 2x2 angle, and I ended up using a hammer, and I just beat it down to roll the edge. So I still got to cut this big piece out here. I've got the piece already done. It's epoxy primered. I did that the other day, updated you on that. But I'm just cutting this out, and it's all on the inside, so that's not cool. And instead of putting the plate here, because I don't want any kind of water intrusion to come through, even from the license plate bolt, I'm actually going to drop it down and put it on the rear bumper. So that I'm going to figure out, I don't know if I'm just going to just put a couple bolts in it or something kind of fancy. Probably not fancy. Probably just a couple bolts, drill through, because I can gain access to the back. Yeah, so that's what we have going on this fine weekend. Hopefully next weekend, if time permitted, I can get that other piece down there straightened away. I do have all the panels for this side to close off the windows. I know they're sitting right here in the gym. Yep, I didn't think I was going to have time for that because I wanted to get this other stuff done. I'm doing one side at a time instead of trying to do everything at once, because sometimes you can get lost in that, and then it gets frustrating, and then you just like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I can't seem to know where I have to start next. So that's about it that's going on. I do have to, I made another piece for this side because there's a crack right here, like a cut, and it goes underneath the rub rail, I have a feeling. But I'm taking the rub rail and I'm moving it up here so it'll finish that wrap around right there, so I can cut it off. So from here up is white, from here down is teal, down there, and that will give me a good cutoff around the rear. And what I've been reading is the rub rail that wraps around is more for like a rear impact. I'm just moving it up, so and then I have to cut the cap off the end right here. I have to do that up there, so that way that piece will slide in, and then seal it off, and then it'll finish the wrap around. Take those out, I have a feeling, because it looks like it'll probably be a part of the new rub rail. I'm debating whether or not to remove the rear windows. It's going to be storage back there. It's going to be a wall, so I won't be able to see out of it anyway. So the thing is that it might be a potential for a leak, and I really don't want potentials for leaks, especially if we get to going down the road, and who knows what's going to happen as far as that goes. So there she is. I got all that storage underneath on that side, and same on the other side. I'm going to epoxy prime that piece tomorrow, inside and out, just because it's going to see a lot of like road debris on the inside. That's pretty much just hanging out there, and that's how it'll go. So thanks for watching, and for the brief update with what we did this weekend, and then we'll update you as we go. Thanks again.